Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and you're watching me live present the featured news for 23rd September 2021. The featured news for today is on the discontinuation of ease of doing business report released by World Bank. So it might seem as if for UPSC aspirants this is a release of headache. Why? Because there will be no more this ease of doing business report. No more questions on this. Yes, but no, I disagree. There could be questions on what made this report stop its production from 2021 onwards. What was the major cause because of this issue cropped up? And we will have to understand the domain of international politics in this. We will have to understand the way data is taken and how data is interpreted to make this data into understandable information for generation of policies or for continuing international trade. So we will discuss all these issues in a very short time of less than 10 minutes, and then we will conclude what this means for the whole world. Now, before everything, ease of doing business report was released by World Bank, and it was released since the year 2002. This was an important report indicating how easy is it for a country to indulge into business activities, right from the process of generation of wealth, planning, execution of the step in case this business fails, so winding up business, whole process, supply chain, international trade, everything is covered, right? And what made this whole report get closed, we will discuss this now. I would like to discuss this in 2 or 3 different pointers. The first one is about what this actually meant, what ease of doing business meant. It talked about opening a business, getting a place, to be able to deal with all the registrations, electricity, water, environmental clearances, and then getting finance, access to credit mechanisms, protecting the interest of investors, to be able to pay taxes, having contract management system, and after that ensuring that these contracts are enforced. Trading across the borders is an important parameter, and after that, in case the business fails, resolving the insolvency. India has made huge strides in all these spheres, huge strides in most of these spheres, and that is why in the last 5 years, India gained a huge prominence in this ease of doing business report. And you can very well see in 2014, India was ranked 142 out of 190 odd countries. 142 out of 190 odd countries. And it was a proud indicator for India that in the last year, it was marked as 63rd nation out of 190 countries in ease of doing business. You can see almost 80 countries leap it has taken. It has leapt over 80 countries in this index. It was a major parameter which assisted policy making in India. It also assisted the international investments. So FDIs and FIIs were there in India primarily because of ease of doing business, because the international investors saw a huge value in trading or establishing business in the country, right? India was also marked as the country making notable improvement. This happened after Make in India scheme in 2014-15. So when schemes like this come up, what is the important agenda? Important agenda is to increase. So Make in India had the important agenda of increasing the share of manufacturing in GDP. So manufacturing 25%, this was the agenda. And then we had an important agenda of increasing, having 100 million extra employments in the country. Along with that, we also wanted to increase the growth of manufacturing sector sustainably at 12 to 15% per annum. If this is what India is envisaging at, every country will try to invest in the country, because in India, because if they invest, they will also have the shared returns. This is what ease of business, doing business was representing to India. But look at the report. It has now been discontinued from this year onwards. So let us know another story, and this we are talking of a country called as China. Now, China is a very dominant country in international politics, international arena. It has got a major clout, major presence internationally. So presently, China is heading 4 out of around 15 United Nations organizations. We are talking of United Nations Security Council itself, WHO, World Trade Organization, World Intellectual Property Rights, UNESCO, and numerous other organizations. Either China is heading, so China either has its presence as the chief of these organizations, or China has the presence as deputy chief of these organizations. the deputy chief in as many as 9 of these 15 organizations. This is, I think, 2020 statistics, right? So China has a major presence in these organizations, and China does impact whatever reports these organizations produce. Very natural, no? And if China does not have direct presence, China has an indirect presence. One good example of this is WHO. So one of the WHO chief was from Hong Kong. And Hong Kong, being a self-administered area of China, will be impacted by China's policy, right? So WHO chief will be impacted by China. Also, see, one good example, if a WHO chief is from Ethiopia, which was the case, and Ethiopia is one of the places where China has got major fundings. You see the alliance? So China has got its proxies placed. China also has voluntarily fundings in many of these organizations. Enough to say, the point being made very clear that China has got a huge presence in international organizations, in the global organizations, right? And you can very much relate it to the formation of minilaterals. Remember, we spoke about global organizations and then multilaterals and minilaterals, right? So minilaterals are being favored. 2, 3 nations, 4 nation coalition is being favored these days. We are talking of the formation of AUKUS. We are talking of the formation of alliances like Quad. We are talking about formation of alliances, for example, the one in Middle East. We are talking of Abraham Accords. That is the reason, because global organizations are being dominated by few major parties, hegemons. So we are talking of countries like China, UK, France, and USA. They have got their major presence. So voting rights or the presence of that particular country in IMF. We are talking of USA, World Bank. These countries have got a lot of presence, and to the level that these reports were fudged. There was a major discrepancy in the report, and the report majorly let China be at the same rank. We are talking of the year 2017. There were initial allegations that China, through some means or the other, wanted to remain at the same position and not to have its position dropped. You know why? Because if the position is dropped, the global policy makers, the people who want to invest in China, they will decrease. They will look for newer venues of investment. So this is the reason that China tried to curtail, to manage, to manipulate these kind of investment reports. And it was later found that yes, China has been indulging in such practices. And that is why after understanding these are ethical issues, there are ethical issues in the whole process, the report has now been discontinued. So some of the other major reasons, one is clout of the superpowers. Yeah, we just proved it, right? Clout of the superpower, this is one important reason. The other reason is personal biases. Look, the country Saudi Arabia, it was found in one of the investigations that the rank for the Saudi Arabia country, this was promoted in ease of doing business. This was because Saudi Arabia wanted to have more investments, to have a better figure internationally. Similarly, there was another country, Azerbaijan. Its rating were dropped. Imagine, just because of personal biases of the officers at United Nations, of the officers at World Bank this time. So these are the kind of personal biases that work, and they have been proved accurately. The third, look, there is some data which is provided, and information is based on that data. So for example, you remember we spoke about one important data which was presented by the Periodic Labor Survey Report, Periodic Labor Force Survey Report. This said that there has been a better employment scenario, increase in self-employment. One. The second one, it said that women, more empowerment because more of jobs in rural areas. This is what the report says, right? This is factual data. However, if you analyze the truth behind this, there's been more major self-employment. Why? Because people did not get worthy jobs at places, at workplaces, at urban areas. They had to indulge in underemployment, in less qualified employment started by themselves, and half the times they were rendered unemployed or underemployed. They were not paid adequate money, and this is what is the analysis behind self-employment increase. Look at women, people who are now working very well. So we are talking of empowerment because of this data, but the reality behind this is that women now are pushed into agriculture just because there is no other ways. There's no other way they can work. So these are the kind of issues that we are seeing, and this is the data and information difference. So when you look at this data, which has been released by World Bank, the data is released on the ease of doing business. That data has been collected from few cities only. If the data is collected from only Delhi and Mumbai, Of course, it will reflect a very, very skewed parameter for development in India, for ease of doing business in India. So this is what has happened. World Bank did not pick up data from around the countries, and they were very standard parameters which would favor some nations and which would not favor some nations. So you can very well see what is the difference between data and information. Another example of data and information, see, this is how you should be connecting. We have studied this in one of the snapshots earlier, that there has been a data that this is NCRB report we are talking of. We just discussed last week NCRB report. It said that there have been fewer crimes against women. Now I disagree. The United Nations has itself said that there's been an increase in the crimes against women when we talk of intimate partner violence at homes, when we talk of digital violence against women. So World Bank, the United Nations has itself agreed that these kind of violence have increased. Yes, reporting has not happened. This I agree with. So you see the difference between data and information. This is what has happened with World Bank as well. The data that was collected, that was only partial data, and it did favor somebody, it did not favor somebody else, and therefore the whole report, it was later realized that they must close down. However, is it good for our country? Yes, it was actually good that India was developing, India was moving strides well in this field. However, now there will be some of the other parameter for knowing what is the ease of doing business in the country. Although the different parameters that I have shared, right, starting a business, resolving the insolvency, trading across borders, right, and getting all the registration done. So we are talking of the single window. So all these different headings, they are not less relevant for our country. They can be asked in the exam also, and we have covered most of them. We have covered most of them in some of the other snapshots. So therefore, do not think that since this report has been now discontinued, these are less important things, right? So Make in India has made a notable change in the international scenario for our country. And this slide on the right hand side, it talks about how this ease of doing business report was generated, when data was taken from only few cities and the whole analysis for the country was released on the same. So this is how we are talking about the whole featured news here. And towards the end, the featured news says that, see, competition has to remain between the countries, and this was one of the ways in which competition could have thrived. However, there will be new emerging ways in which competition will be achieved again. After having understood why this report was now discontinued, all you got to do is take 30 seconds to think holistically about the international issues, right, which cause this problem. We are talking about the relations between countries. We are talking about the personal biases. We are also talking about what is the difference between data and what is the difference between data and information. So considering all these pointers and whatever else that you have in your mind, all you got to do is attempt this question. This question says, discuss the problems with the doing business report. What does the discontinuation of this indicate about the problems in international organizations? Now, this report is not just about this report. The shortcomings are about all the other reports, even the national reports which are released. So the keywords that you pick up from here will be relevant at all other places. Now, so this is where we come to the conclusion of the featured news discussion for 23rd September 2021. If you like this video, if you like our effort, do share some love by likes, comments, and shares. If you subscribe to the channel, you will receive timely updates so that you will be live again at 6:30 p.m. for the featured news tomorrow evening and for the guest discussion at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow evening. See you then. Bye bye.